Necropolis Rio, session 19. And last time we took some took care of some business around Rio as usual, and then we took a little trip to Brasilia, the capital of the nation, which we've learned has been built by the architects of Rio, by which, of course, we mean the immortal architects. And for whatever reason, it is quite the inhospitable place for the Arisen. Something in the way that the city is laid out is abrasive to the Arisen, which was apparent to Sobek and Khufu as soon as they entered the city. And we had a bit of a discussion with Kazmot, who was the only resident in the city, which there's, of course, good reasons for it, because Arisen cannot really stand being in the area. Now, the discussion with Cosmot went, I guess I would call it quite well, because we avoided most hostilities and exchanged some information. One of the things that Cosmot had to say was that he is not really able to deal anymore with the fact that, according to his perception, everything that the Arisen touch is just destroyed and tainted, and he wants to try and find some different way of existing that doesn't involve everything that you touch being turned to dust and awfulness. And now the other thing, which of course there was a lot of discussion, but the other thing that really stood out to our two protagonists is that Cosmo intimated that he had a fragment of memory from your time in Sarda, which indicated to him that whatever happened in Sarda as it was being assaulted by this group of Knights Templar, which Khufu and Sobek remembered to have lifeless among them as they rode into Sarda and started slaughtering everyone. Whatever happened there, we had our protagonists retrieve the relic that they had stashed in the Forbidden Cave and use it somehow, maybe. We don't really know how that went down, but Cosmut remembers the aftermath that indicates that whatever happened with the relic, it was being used by Khufu, and somehow he had created a strain of lifeless creatures at that point in time. And those lifeless creatures then, according to Cosmo, would have been like he said that he's killed a number of them over the years, but they are most numerous and they are quite adept at attaching themselves to humanity in ways that make it quite difficult to remove them and not cause a lot of damage to the collateral mortals. So that is what we learned in among the other things that we learned in Brasilia, and we cut in to the return trip with the cult chauffeur driving you back from Brasilia to Rio. Now, you had stayed over, as was discussed at the end of last session, you had stayed over the night into the following day before you headed back, which means that as you head back, you are two composure down as you depart Brasilia, but these points return to you as you leave the city proper. But you had lost two of your composure during the time that you spent in the city itself because of its nature, you presume. And you've been told as much. But you feel much, much better as you leave and are free now to discuss your plans for returning to Rio.
So I imagine sort of initially for like the first sort of leg of the journey, Kuthu has been very quiet, sort of contemplative almost, sort of as though deep in thought. And then almost as though he's sort of struggling with something internally. And then as they continue driving the cult chauffeur, sort of like the car rumbling across the open ground, he just turns and looks at Sobek, his brother, and in a very quiet voice says, I can I cannot allow the Heartless to remain in Rio. If, as Casmut said, his memory is correct and I was responsible for its creation, then all of the people it has killed, all of their blood, that is on my hands. And I must seek to redress this balance.
So Beck resists the temptation to tell his brother, as he did when they were having their little vary with the creature that they still do not quite understand in their tomb. He told this would come to pass. Instead, he kind of grabs him by the shoulder firmly. I understand your anger in this, and your wishing to make things right. But we should be cautious about believing Casmud completely without question.
In this regard, I do not see that Casmod has anything to gain by attempting to deceive us, and what little he has told us does fit with what we know. We
Not to
know
me.
we know that the Heartless was there, but was apparently, certainly to my eyes, mortal when they came to Sarda.
That is what I think as well. But if you recall from our discussions before, our memories are not always the same. So I just caution you, brother, to leave him wholeheartedly.
If any
There's
in
always a
this
chance that there is an unintended agenda here.
that
However, as you know from my own investigations into them in Rio, I too want this thing removed and
there
its
is
relic
a
returned to us.
you are correct. There is a chance that Casmut is mistaken, but if he is mistaken, then and I destroy the Heartless, then even if I was not responsible for its creation, it is still a worthwhile act.
Agreed.
And if it is
But
true that
we
I
we are
created it, it is only right and just that I correct that mistake.
we are assuming that what we believe happened. That you think the opening of the relic, the box, is what caused this to occur. Correct?
That would seem to be likely.
We do not remember what happened. In fact, we cannot even name this thing. And the thing that's called. Bleh.
Yeah, the idea being, of course, as you now discuss this, you do recall from your flashbacks across the centuries that in your reveries, you know that you've at that point in time you spoke the name of the thing in the box, but the only thing that you remember is that it is the thing in the box. There's no name that you can attach to it, even though you know that you knew it at one point in time.
You know me, brother. I love a good mystery. I like to uncover things that I should not, for the sake of the judges and honoring of Irem, of course, not for my own personal um, enjoyment.
Well,
Just a
since
slight
since
smile. But
we are brothers, and I trust your counsel, and I would not keep anything from you. Allow me to explain what I intend to do when we arrive back in Rio. First of all, I will travel to the library where this creature can be found. I will attempt
okay,
to use my powers over the dead to compel it to establish whether that is possible. And then,
okay.
whether it is possible or no, I will attempt to destroy the creature.
That is certainly within your nature, very direct action, brother. So the smile, but
Indeed,
If you
the
can,
politicking and the backstabbing of some other immortals is not the way of my guild.
this is true, and unfortunately, that is sometimes your detriment. But allow me, if you will, to I'm not going to stop you, but to suggest that you give maybe a little bit of time for us just to put a few things in place, maybe a few hours.
What is it you wish to put in place?
Well, I'm hoping you're successful, and I want this thing gone too, naturally. I've been working, I've been working towards this for some time to uncover it and find if there are more of them and what its influence is in the city. But
Indeed.
my research is not fully complete, so if we do this, we do not know what kind of nest we are uncovering entirely. I have not detected any links to any other organizations or arisen or other strange forces, but that's not to say they're not there.
Indeed, whilst it is true that
But
I do not know the weaknesses of this creature, I have observed over the years that, with the exception of the arisen, beheading and utterly burning the body tends to destroy most things.
yeah,
And should I fail, then when I return, be it in 100, 1,000 years,
you'll try
I will
again.
have another opportunity.
This is true, but in addition to what I've just said, you seem to have developed a certain companionship with the mortals here, certain appreciation.
That is
And
true.
I think
I've
if you go
attempted to
in there
understand
without
them.
any regard, there's going to be there's potentially a lot of crossfire with these people if you do battle and this thing can um, meet you in battle. I don't know what its capabilities are, but I do remember from when Bantanath came to the shores and Ruby showed up at the beach. You remember?
I
I sensed
remember.
some of its power then. It is not incapable. So, if given a few hours, we could try and at least secure the area. Maybe get people out. Maybe get them away from whatever you tend to do.
If you
Just
wish, out of
just to
respect for you, my brother, I will give you your few hours to make what arrangements you can. However, to my mind, should I succeed in slaying the creature, I must balance the potential destruction against the mortals in the area against the potential for the number of mortals who will be saved by the destruction of this creature.
I don't doubt that taking this thing out will be beneficial for the humankind from now in the future. But if we want to do this without creating unintended consequence, such being as what it is. Food of
I'll,
the arisen.
I will give
I
you
have
your few hours. Make what preparations you can, but know
I
that
also
at
have
the
a
end I will
suggestion for
confront the
you.
creature.
I have a suggestion for you. This
And
is
what is
not a
that?
requirement, but it's something that may yield benefit. In our tomb, see if you can seek out, at least attempt to make contact with that presence that we felt before. It knows things we do not, and it somehow knows at that time. Maybe it can provide you with some answers that we ourselves are not capable of remembering.
I have attempted to contact the presence previously to no effect, but since I have a few hours whilst you're making your preparations to make the area as safe as possible for mortals, I will do as you suggest.
Because you may recall, the tone of its voice during our discussion, it seemed to know this was coming. It seemed to know of the consequence of that time. So perhaps it is waiting for you. I do not know truly, but
There is nothing to be lost by making the attempt, since I have time while you are making your preparations.
okay. So what I'm gonna do, Curse Master, um, just give as much time as possible. I will actually use a telephone, which I imagine I do have in the car, to contact the cult and be
Hmm?
like, look, man, right, Khufu's gonna do a thing. It's gonna happen regardless if we do anything. But if we can, um, I don't know what time of day we're going to get back. I'm not sure what is it going to be, midday, evening?
It's a 15-hour trip from Brasilia to Rio, so it takes most of the day
Most of the day.
just getting there. So basically, at very late in the night would be when you arrive. If you just blast it through, if you stop to have your chauffeur sleep, then of course it takes more time.
So yeah, I'm just want to get the guild to try and put like some kind of emergency council permit through, or like just come up with a bullshit excuse just to get people out of the area and minimize the humans in that place, because I think if Khufu goes full supernova, the Sabaris could be really bad, really
It's
bad.
in downtown.
Yeah, so I'm like try to get as many people out of there as possible without alerting this undead creature. Try and make it sound like something really boring, like a gas leak or like I don't know if they're even capable of doing something like that, but we are entrenched in Rio.
You not them themselves, but they could press the flesh.
Yeah.
And have someone else do it.
I'll give them a time frame. Like when we arrive, will be scanned a few hours.
All right. Yeah. They'll try and leverage their influence in the city.
I'll tell them to prepare my battle robes as well.
What are your battle robes, by the way?
I think they'll have been. Oh, that's a good question. I was thinking maybe Eastern, but maybe actually. I'm gonna say it's reminiscent of Roman kind of design.
Okay.
Kind of like
toga.
Kind of like a toga, or a kind of a maybe like a blackened carapace if I'm wearing something a bit more leathery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of ceremonial more than actually protection. Because what am I going to do with actual armor? Turn into a giant snake. Like, what the... I know. Get myself a nice gun.
Well, to be fair, I'm going to be going looking like a stone golem, so.
Yeah. And to give us updates of any kind of unusual activity coming from the library area, like, you know, if it's suddenly being swarmed by like heavily armed SWAT teams with strange weapons, that might be a sign that he knows we're coming. Somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll spend the time discussing with Khufu like how best to sharing all the information that I know of this place.
To be honest, unless they're heavily armed SWAT teams that are immune to Sabaris, I cannot.
You might have forces that we don't understand. Did strange question, but did any of my research prior come up with any other deathless?
Heartless, you mean?
Heartless. I keep getting it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, heartless.
Yeah. So your main target, Aristides Borges, it has an entourage, and your cult definitely thinks that there are more lifeless there.
Right. Okay. And then we went to an island, didn't we, with the Ghost Wars?
Yeah, you went into
the Round Island,
the Isla Redonda, to the south a little bit, and that's where you had the ghost, and you left the anchor plate there.
She had an entourage there as well.
Yeah, she had two two heartless there in the grotto with a sort of like pseudo Eremite shrine.
I shall
remnant.
point them out to Khufu. Like those may be of your ilk as well. Would we assume that you created them all? That is my worry, you see, brother.
I suspect I have not created them all, because we know there were certainly heartless around, or at least mockeries of life around before that time. But I suspect that I may have had a hand in the creation of Aristides Borges due to his proximity to Sarda when we used the artifact.
True. Well, his time upon this world is grow short. apart from that, I will discuss the things that Kazmut said.
And I would.
Well, let's have a talk about that.
I was going to say,
Very
before we
important.
do, I would like to use my phone to contact the Prince of Storms.
Oh no. Oh
Yep.
no.
It's your boy, the Prince of Storms.
Your boy can hook you up with some heavies.
I don't want him to hook me up with some heavies. I want to see if he can get me a quantity of explosives.
Let's see.
Good text Banternath and be like, just wondering, do we have a backup of all the books in the library? Asking for a friend.
If I blow up the National Library, would you mind?
That's why I'm asking Sackness, do I, Cam?
So I'm looking up Sucknist's cult, and then I'm gonna roll for it to see if they can source that. Ooh. Okay. Let's see. So
I just imagine the guy driving the car just getting more and more concerned. As Taco, are they going to destroy Rio?
Sucknist's cult, because it's not him answering the phone. They can hook you up with some grenades.
Basically, what I'm looking for is, like, should it all go tits up and the Heartless be, like, about to defeat me, obviously, I know that, like, if I have, like, a bandolier of grenades on that are somehow, like, set up to the equivalent of, like, some sort of dead man switch, if I'm, like, in close proximity to the Heartless and all those grenades go off, yeah, it's going to hurt and it's probably going to put me into duat.
Yeah,
but I'll be back.
But yeah, it won't trouble you for... you have hazy recollections of how long you've been dead when you've been in a death cycle, but you estimate at this point in time it probably will trouble you at most for like half an hour if you blow yourself up.
I don't think John's actually died
not on screen. That is
screen,
very true.
yeah.
Which is why I said that he doesn't really remember how long he's going to take.
This guy went on a journey.
But basically, my plan is that, like, there's going to be two of us in that library, and whatever happens, like, the Heartless isn't coming out. Hopefully,
two enter, one leaves.
Hopefully, I do leave, but if it takes me, like, taking a brief dirt nap to, like, take out the Heartless, that's what I've got to do. It's my mess. I've got to clean it up. Justice demands it.
I do love as well. We have two very different styles of justice. I'm gonna get all the information together. I'm gonna compile it.
I'm gonna present my case.
Yeah, I'm gonna sort through it like a bureaucrat and present this. And we're gonna make a joint effort. We're gonna sort it out. And it's gonna be great. And all the paperwork is going to be beautifully done and in a nice folder.
Yeah, see, man, you've got the sort of justice which is like 4 downtimes worth of, like, gathering all this information. I've got the sort of justice that is like one session of, like, ass whoopery.
John, I've got a clock on the campaign. I was deep in this.
Which, by the way, even though there was nothing that could be achieved last time, I still added a tick, and that still means that when you get to the 4th tick, you will have figured shit out, regardless of what has happened before that.
Does that include even if the library is suddenly a smoke and ruin?
Oh yeah, the library is not the ultimate source of Aristides Borges, so
okay, that's great.
The library will,
because that's what I'm looking at right now. I've tried to get Kufu involved for like 3 separate occasions. He's like, nah, I'm getting my voodoo on, mate. Now he's like, no, now he shall face.
The thing is, though, given how this is going, aren't you glad I didn't get involved before?
When you get on task, you really do get on task. I appreciate that.
I'm all about that clear, quick, decisive resolution.
Have you considered getting some ghosts to help you as well? If he's a spirit, he's like...
Oh, yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm going in with some ghosts. Probably a
Getting...
couple of like fucking resurrected corpse trolls as well.
Oh right, I thought you were gonna get the pirate dude to show up, the Dread Pirate.
which
I don't know. I'd feel a bit bad calling him back from his holiday.
which he's been on for some decades now. But he's
Yeah, but
spent
what's a
quite
couple of decades to us?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a
yeah,
blink of an eye.
and he's been in your tomb for a bit as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, try and sort of like imagine, if you will, if you were like confined in like one place and you couldn't go out or go anywhere, and then suddenly someone was like, "Oh, there you go. That's like key to the door. Off you go. Enjoy yourself." How much would you not want to return to that place, like for a while?
Get bored. Yeah. That's why I think when I get all lockdown, this boy's gonna go outside. What is safe? Is there a way for me to detect if Khufu has become like emotionally compromised?
What does that mean?
Like just to see if it's like if this is like stirred something in him, that's unusual. Or John could just tell me that.
Like technically, yes. Like John could just say whatever, and also we could have you roll for it if we understand what you're trying to do. Are you trying to read? Like, is he agitated more than he is usually, or?
Yeah, I suppose me is like just a dual thing. Me as a player is trying to work out if the game, if mummies in the game can actually experience emotional trauma and like
Yes.
have like a kind of a, because they're not human anymore, but can
Yes,
they experience
witness
that?
Cosmo.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Also, like Sobek as the character wants to know that if he's going into this, because he wants to help him. He's been trying to sort this out for a while now. Is Khufu more of a liability than an asset in this situation? As much as he cares for his brother, he has to consider that there could be like a lot of fallout from this.
Yeah. Yeah. As you're puzzling this out, what you do realize is you're basically planning on grenading / walking into as a golem into a societally and historically significant building in Tetragimet's backyard. And making
right.
like
that's the word,
making
that's the
with
word
the demolishing.
That's the word. Let's look at, oh god. So quietly, I'm gonna send. This is like mummy intrigue. Text. I'm gonna text. I suppose like in like the Dark Ages, you'd write a quiet parchment.
I will quietly scribble.
I'm gonna text. I
pray this silent missive finds you well.
This is to go. I don't know if I might actually have the Red Sparrow's direct contact details.
I think we do. Yes.
Yeah, because she actually, she.
We've been calling before as well.
She came to our meal. I'm just gonna send like a short, like, not really descriptive message, just basically saying, situation uncovered in Rio. Khufu is going to be engaging supernatural creature, maybe fallout. Stand by.
I imagine it's like we have a code red. Yeah.
Maybe there may be political and infrastructure damage.
You'll get a reply which is location question mark.
Do I think if I tell her this that she's going to step in and stop him?
Roll your politics and intelligence.
Oh no.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure I can answer that question without making a roll.
I want to help him. That's the thing, isn't it? Don't want to lie to the Red Sparrow.
What you do know is that her entire thing is, let's keep a lid on Rio, and you've been with her on that for centuries. But you've got 2 successes. She's gonna do something if you tell her where this is gonna go down. She is never not done anything. Her entire position is based on reacting to things and making sure that things go her way.
And to be honest, I've got to say that on an out of character perspective, and probably as an in character perspective as well, I wouldn't. Well, you know this about Khufu. If the Red Sparrow stopped me from doing it, I wouldn't hold a grudge against the Red Sparrow because I can respect the fact that her nature and all of her stuff she's got going on is compelling her to do that in the same way as my nature and my sense of responsibility is compelling me to act this way. Which is the same way, like, if I didn't hold a grudge against Kazmut trying to, like, total occult and take out all her artifacts, like, potentially, like, the Red Sparrow put me into a dirt nap for a few years, which I will recover from. That's like a slap across the wrist for us.
I was about to say, the method upon which she may prevent you might be one of dangerous consequences, as the library is destroyed by another arisen. I'm like,
all right, let's say that, just as an example, let's say the Red Sparrow's like, I can't have Khufu do that, and she has some people like accost me and like cut my head off and like kill me before it happens. I find it very difficult to imagine that she's going to like try and permanently destroy me over this. So even if she kills me, again, that's much in the same way as like we crashed a plane with Kazmut in to like basically teach him a lesson. That's just like that's the equivalent of someone going, leave it.
I'm just waiting for like this to turn out this guy is her son or something like that. Like, it's not just a dude, it's just like, oh, she has a reason to protect him, and then it turns out into an all-out war.
You know that you could do something which I realize is highly complex, but you could ask her as well about what you're about to do.
Okay.
Which I do realize, because we've discussed this previously. Like, should you ask people to help you or ask Arisen for information because they don't remember, or they might remember wrong, or they might have their own agenda? So.
And obviously you will know that since you know Khufu, you know that since I feel it's my responsibility, aside from like I'm not going to ask Sackmiss to like send some heavies or like accompany me because it's my responsibility. I've asked him to get me some equipment, but that's it. I'm not going to drag anyone else into it because they didn't create the problem. I created it, and as far as like Khufu is concerned, I have to deal with it. I do enjoy that
our focuses are very different. Yours is on the I'm going to do this thing needs to happen. Mine's like, I'm looking at the entire web here. Okay.
It's almost like I take the most direct route to resolve a problem.
It is. It's almost like I am politicking and trying to negotiate constantly with things, like a scribe would. So I'm going to reply. I'm going to say it's a personal matter involving the guy's name, Asturias Borges, and Khufu, at the library. It's called the library. It's called the library of
the National Library. It's National literally Library. The government.
I thought it had like a name in its
ancient
language.
Fucking collection.
Yeah. I am attempting in the process of minimizing both political and infrastructure fallout. Assistance appreciated, but do not. I will be clear. Do not personally stop Khufu. Help. Kiss.
You'll get a return text once more, which is let's see, where are we? I'm looking at the.
Is she just gonna, like, is it one of those moments where she's been invisible in the car all along because she's just following?
It's like, aha!
Do you know what? I'm so gonna laugh if we get out of the car back in Rio, and then just like a sniper's gun shot rings out, and I'm just like. And that's it. I'm done. Like the Red Sparrow's like, that's dealt with. He probably won't even remember this when he wakes up.
Okay, let's see.
Then we could have a flashback where like, we find out the Red Sparrow's killed us before in the past to stop us doing stuff.
Yeah, this will answer the question that if she actually likes us or not, won't it? To help, or she's just gonna destroy us both. Actually, the driver will get a phone call. He'll answer it, and then he'll swerve the car into a tree.
Yeah, you'll just have the driver just like does the and he'll put the thing on, and in his like activate his earpiece, and then just go like Understood. And then
Yes.
close the thing. Roll up the window between his
Yeah.
compartment and the back.
That's perfectly
It's
normal.
like, driver, please,
Driver,
driver.
yeah, what's going
on? Right. Let me, as John is.
I like that we've somehow managed to make a 15-hour car ride sound tense.
Yeah. No. I mean, it gets intense when two immortal, deathless sorcerers from prehistory get in the back of a luxury cult car and start making calls.
Bobbing along.
Yeah. So, sorry, I'm prowling on the map here for a bit. Right. So
We're gonna get to Rio, and it's just gonna be closed.
yeah, there's a barricade at the street. It's like, no, you need to go back, sir.
We've never actually seen what the Red Sparrow can do. We've only ever had meetings with it. It's only ever been implied power.
Yeah, the Red Sparrow has only ever told you that she has done things and like that.
She could be bluffing this entire time.
To be fair, if she's pulled off a bluff like that, gotta give her respect for that.
Oh. She's an alchemist. Yeah, deep down they're all full of shit.
So she suggests that you come to the botanical garden of Rio, which you know where that is. It's let me ping on the map here. Make sure that I'm okay. There's Cristo Redentor. Okay, good. So
is this near the library?
It's no. So this is like on this side of the lake here. There is an old botanical garden established long ago, and it has a fantastic variety of course, plants and trees, and wonderful lanes to walk down and benches to sit on. There's sort of gazebos and whatnot there as well. So she replies that I suggest that you come under the rose arch in the botanical garden at the 7th hour of the evening and have a discussion about this with myself and Mr. Borges.
What? Oh. I just sort of look at it for like, this is what I was worried about. I said this. How many times did I say this? That I think if anyone he was working for would be the Red Sparrow.
So I think while you're doing this, I'm sort of I'm obviously taking into account my new affinity. I'm just sort of like shutting out all the distractions. Yeah. I'm sat there on the back seat with like my wooden staff across my knee, just sort of like eyes closed, almost like sort of meditating, just being like very quiet and not saying anything, like ignoring like the rumble and the bumping of the car, just sort of like psyching myself up for the task and knowing that by the end of this day I may be in Duat.
One must fall, so the other can rise.
There's no mistaking that message.
Oh no, 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 no! It's a blatant invitation to a parlay.
On the one hand, it's good to know that the Red Sparrow knows who this person is.
Mm-hmm.
And if I go to this meeting, the library is less likely to be destroyed. But if I go to, but then if I go to it, then it's the Red Sparrow, this guy, and me and Kofu, all in one place. This is bad. This is really bad. This is like
It's a weighty decision on your shoulders, Sobek. I don't envy
This is the least optimal version that I wanted to happen. That the Red Sparrow seems to be working with this guy.
You have a feeling that may be a strong way to put it when considering the Red Sparrow. Maybe with is not the correct word.
He's probably just like a contact of hers, and she's like, all right, maybe I can sort something out so there's not like mass devastation in central Rio, which I can't blame her for.
He's not. He negotiates with spirits. He doesn't negotiate
with terrorists.
With this kind of death. I don't want to start an all-out war.
I mean, what is it good for?
I'm going to explain it. I explain it to Kofu in the best terms I can.
Go ahead.
I did a thing, brother. I did it with the best intentions. I tried to find out more information for you and uncover the kind of consequences of this act and help protect the mortals you find so dear. It would seem that Teshri Gemmet, Red Sparrow, who you've met, is aware of this person and is not as keen for half of Rio to burn down in your altercation.
That is unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. She's invited us to a discussion, which I know that's not exactly what you're in the mood for. However, consider this meeting is in a botanical garden, not the library, so less likely that it'll be filled with people.
I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. What do I have to discuss with Tash or Gemmet?
I'm guessing for whatever it is you intend to do to this individual, which I am all for. Don't get me wrong. I want him smote upon the mountain as well. But perhaps he's under the protection of her for some reason. Maybe we should just go there, and then see what happens.
I have already said, brother, that, and you probably seem like I've gripped the staff a little bit tighter. I've already said, brother, that before I attempt to take any action, I will give you 3 hours. If you wish us to spend some of that time meeting with Teshwa Gamut, that is fine.
Does the time frame that Kufu's given me include time to go to this meeting? Curse Master. Do we get back within enough time to have that 3-hour window?
Oh, it's 3 hours from when we get back. It's not 3 hours starting now.
Yeah, 3 hours starting from now, from our 15-hour trip.
If the meeting is like 5 hours from our return, that's obviously a problem.
So I don't think it's a problem, especially if you don't stop to let your chauffeur sleep. You can. It's not a problem.
I still suggest that you try and contact the creature, the spirit, or whatever it is that we met in the vault. I still think that is useful. More information. I always say more information is useful in these things, brother. As direct as you like to be, sometimes having that key can make all the difference.
I agree. There is wisdom in what you say.
In Japan, and we met the Arisen that stopped its assault on you because you said the right thing.
That is correct. There is wisdom in what you say, brother, and I've already agreed that I will attempt to contact the presence, although I fear it may be fruitless. But nevertheless, I will make the attempt.
I am going to spend that time stressing out kind of my battle armor. I will still do that because that will send a clear message.
Whereas you notice that as we're going back, like, I do not look stressed out at all. I look perfectly calm, like very composed, almost like Zen. I've just shut everything out. All that I'm focusing on now is like, I'm going to confront this creature and I'm going to destroy it.
Things are finally balanced in Rio. We do not want things to go out of control. Like a real politician.
The balance has already been
control must be maintained.
The balance has already been disrupted. The more important balance of life and death, alas, by my own hands, and this imbalance must be corrected. Buildings can be rebuilt.
It's true, but knowledge can be lost for a long, long time. Just like a REM. Hopefully, Red Sparrow is more pro us than pro Heartless. I was going to say Deathless. I was going to do it. Was your attempts at contacting the Orisha successful?
I contacted the Orisha, and whilst their leader is not keen to allow me entrance mainly due to my closeness to yourself and your alliance with the secret court, it is clear that their previous leader, at least, and Sakmist regard me as an ally. I've been given the contact details for their previous ruler, with the proviso that I only attempt to contact them when needed.
Okay. Well, I suggest.
Of course, I'm speaking of Menethus, the Crimson Lion, or Irenle, God of the Hunt, as he is known amongst the Orisha.
Did he not give you something in case you needed his help?
He gave me his contact details.
This is not a situation you think to contact him in.
It is not Irenle's responsibility to deal with this. It is my responsibility. Okay.
I just thought let's just throw everyone in the pot. Let's just get it all going.
I would not seek to further agitate the problems between the Orisha and the rest of Arisen society by dragging them into this.
True. That's good. That's your learning, brother. I suggest that once this is conducted, you may use this as an example of how you resolve things in a direct and strength-like manner, thereby proving your right to be in the Orishas, possibly even in a leadership role. But that is just a suggestion.
Thank you. I will take it under advisement.
I will respond to, Red Sparrow is obviously optional, not like ordered meeting, and say we will be in attendance. But to caution her that Austrasia's Borgias may not see dawn after this conversation, making it clear that his time is up. Because I want him gone, but I was going to do it through, paperwork.
Through 10,000 paper cuts.
I was going to get him, like...
I will lawyer you to death. All right, well, is there more preparation you want to do, or shall we jump forward to the botanical garden?
Well, before we go to the meeting, I'm going to go and meditate in front of the memory wall in our tomb, and I'm going to try and, because we know that the presence has contacted us mentally before it spoke to us in our minds, so I'm not going to try and speak out loud, but I'm going to try and shut out all the distractions. I'm going to focus, and then I'm just going to reach out in my thoughts, essentially trying to make contact with the presence, are you there? And if I think, with my sort of like mad knowledge of the occult, if there's anything I think I can do to like increase that chance, I'll obviously, within reason, I'll obviously do it.
Do you have anything of Sada with you, like the mask? Of course. Oh, the mask wasn't made in
Well,
Sada.
yeah, the mask is a very recent manufacture.
However, it's the image of someone who was in Sada.
Yeah.
But I'm wearing that like permanently anyway, so mainly because when I confront the Heartless, I want to be like, "Do you remember this face?
Yeah.
It will be the last face you will ever see." As I like pole vault over like the Red Sparrow's desk and like stick a staff through.
Yeah. Let's have a roll, Khufu, of occult and resolve.
Oh, okay.
It's a willpower moment. Are you saving those bad boys for later?
Yeah, I'm saving those up. I've got a feeling I might need them later. Okay.
Do you have any like specializations when it comes to like undead and spirits?
I have a superstition specialization, which I don't know if that counts for this.
Not for this, because this is real.
Yeah. I didn't think so.
We've met this before.
One.
Only one success.
Oh, double ones as well. If this was the old world, we would be looking at some shit. But you still got one success, and you feel yourself drawn into a kind of it's kind of weird because you already sat down to meditate essentially, and you are drawn into some kind of meditative state. Sobek, where are you when he's doing this?
Oh, I've left him alone, unfortunately. Unless he wanted me there, I would be coordinating with the cult to. I'm still trying to evacuate the library. I'm trying to protect those books, damn it! All that knowledge. That's just like, I've been there for a library burning down. I did not enjoy it.
Right. Well, Khufu, did you specifically request that Sobek was with you as you do this, or? Okay, so Sobek, you are there. They're trying to tell you how they're putting pressure on some officials that they would close down the National Library for the time that you wanted. And you two feel yourself as you're sat there with your tea and your biscuits and your fruits in the sort of meeting room. You feel yourself drifting away into a daydream almost. And both of you hear the presence voice. It's the sort of like really like colorless gray that you are in, your consciousness is in, and the presence, you can feel it. You can't see it anywhere. Usually, you can't really properly see it anyway, but you've spotted the outline previously in actual proper memories, but this is apparently not that. And the presence says, "You are reaching out."
That is correct.
Yes. I was instructing my. I was instructing my brother to try and communicate with you. Seems that I can hear you too now. Maybe he has been successful.
And Khufu, you hear Sobek say these words.
Yeah. And I'm just going to continue and say, I need to know about the Heartless Aristides Borgus, the one who led the raid on Sada. As you know, we remember nothing after the artifact was unsheathed. I need to know, if you know, whether I am indeed its creator. For if I am, it falls to me to correct that mistake.
How much do you guys feel like a flashback? Or do we want to proceed on to our date in the garden?
I mean, I am happy. I am down
Yeah,
for
I'm,
like
I'm,
an
I'm
like
all
an
up for it, man.
in-session flashback,
Yeah,
like a door within a door moment.
I'm all up for some Arisenception.
Yeah,
Right. So
we need to go deeper, Kufu,
Oh,
deeper. Is it going to be like a mini flashback where we see the
yeah,
real, just the horrible bits?
yeah.
And then we come back.
If I had the thing prepped, we could do a proper length one and actually probably spend the rest of the time today and continue next time. But I think we'll just do a small thing now, and then we'll have more like actual proper full length flashbacks later on. But the presence says, as I have said before, there is a limit to how much I can do, and then you will have to do the digging yourself. And you feel yourself being whisked away, like you're moving forward. You feel wind in your face,
Got my
and
biscuit in my mouth.
and you're sort of falling at the same time, and then you get these sort of impressions of these sort of like half a second like smash cuts of images, memories, times, and places, and it's you in the Forbidden Cave by the river in Sarda. You're opening the box, and there's nothing else after that. There's Sobek being like,
No.
and then it cuts.
Going full Elrond.
You remember a full-on burning library, the smoldering support beams inside, and there's the still smoldering bits of parchment that flow with the wind as the building burns. You remember the Templar Knights. Some of them have dismounted. There's Sardai inhabitants like crawling on the ground, trying to, because they were bumped down with a horse. And there's a Templar Knight dismounting and just like impales the person on the ground with their sword. You hear the screams of the dying and those being killed. You remember the smoke. There's a lot of blood. You remember some of these Templars, especially Khufu, you recall that they were lifeless, including Aristides Borges.
Already?
He there's a strong waft of sort of heady blood off of him as he wades through Sarda, dealing death with his sword. And there is it gets really difficult as you're struggling, your minds are struggling to grasp at the memory, but it's almost like actively slapping your your hand. And you remember bits of the aftermath. You remember Cosmot coming into town with his trade caravan not to the town, to the ruins that exist. And you remember him just collapsing to his knees as he like reaches the center, surveying the damage. And you recall that you had an argument afterwards, the three of you. You don't exactly recall what was said, but there was a lot of friction at the time, and you think you may have sort of gone your separate ways for a bit, but you can't be sure of that. But there was something that you were almost coming to blows with. Maybe you came to blows with each other. You don't really know. But it's you sort of feel the presence as well as this goes on, and you can talk as previously as well if you want to comment on things, but you can feel the presence sort of it's sort of like pushing you against something, which of course not physical, but you feel that the presence is sort of forcefully trying to jam you through a square hole when that's not a good fit. And you hear the oh, cool, please. Mm-hmm. 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 You can gain a fairly clear understanding that there's no going forward the way that if it can be said that the presence is trying to replay the memory for you, you can clearly tell that that will not be happening because there's nothing there to replay, and it's sort of smashing you, trying to make it work. It's moved on to that part of the tech support where it's just smacking the device to make it work. But you can see that there's nothing on the other side of whatever this buffer is,
Okay.
and the presence says, "It is challenging. Your memories are not complete in this time. You must have fallen to the underworld. This time is
all
lost to you."
likelihood. Well, thank you for trying. It is appreciated.
You must keep doing this.
Keep doing what?
Dig. It's a very short word, but it feels heavy on you
It has
it's
weight to it. The
yeah,
actual
yeah.
the emphasis on it.
Yeah, and it sort of echoes in your mind as well as it says
Maybe
it.
it means literally dig.
I need you to remember.
I want to remember. Are you what's in this box?
Sorry, what was that?
I'm asking the thing. Are you what's in this box? A relic.
You feel amusement. No words, though.
I like to imagine the presence is sitting there when you're like, "Are you the relic?" It's just like,
Sort of, it's pressing the mute.
It's not a confirmation or denial, though, is it? That's the thing.
Yeah, no, it's amused by your query. It is a very crucial time. The time of sharpness. And you have done a commendable effort in remembering these times. But you need to remember more.
I will keep trying. Can you show us the future as well as our past, or is that beyond whatever it is?
You can feel amusement again.
Do you have a name?
All things that exist do.
Are you saying that you're outside of existence? I float like in this ethereal.
Well, it didn't really say anything. It's just like everything that exists has a name. It's up to you to figure out whether or not this thing exists, I guess.
what is your interest in me and my brother? Or do you haunt all of the Arisen?
Your memories are precious to what will happen. You must abide fate and recall.
I mean, I'm Ren 5, what more do you want?
It's like, mate, a max level.
Max level.
Give me shit.
Give me the things. If you know of our past and our future in some way, is this asteroid, is this lifeless, not lifeless, heartless?
It is lifeless as well. It exists in two
Aristeidus
categories.
Borgus.
Aristeidus Borgus. My northern tongue butchering that. Are we with? Is it within our power to destroy this creature?
Of course. It is a pitiful effort for the scions of Irem to eviscerate the lifeless.
Have you seen a Rem?
You feel amusement?
I think this thing likes me, honestly. I think it actually likes me. I'm going to put it down as an ally.
Next time we speak to it, it's going to be like, oh, hello, Khufu. Have you brought the funny man with you?
The funny one.
So, Khufu, of course, you can hear all this stuff. You're in a Zoom
I can't
call.
help it. It's an enigma. I need to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Where are you located?
There's nothing.
I'm so tempted to ask a question, but I don't want the answer.
Same with the Red Sparrow.
Yeah. Are you one of the judges that I've never met? I have not.
You can hear a sort of rising laughter. That sort of it starts out as if it's like far away, and then it sort of comes closer like a passing train. And
I've just been Doppler mocked. Like it's just like laughs at me from
wow.
time and space.
Oscillating mockery. No. There's laughter, thunderous laughter, and the grayness fades, and you find yourself holding your teacup once more in the meeting room. And Khufu, you come to your senses.
You there? More tea.
Bring me biscuits in the shape of Irem.
I thought you were going to go full Christmas Carol then, like, you there, boy, what day is it?
Get me a giant turkey.
The presents did it all in one night. Well, of course it can. It's a present. It can do anything it wants. Do you know the goose down the road?
I like this turn of events. Because I was like, if it doesn't show up, then at least that's like an avenue closed off. If it does turn up, things are going to get weird. I'm going to go find my brother with my fresh mug.
Yeah. Well, you'll find him. It's the two places are very close, so you can find him in the tomb.
Did you experience what I just heard? Did you?
Yes, I did.
Successful.
I believe so.
Your power astounds me. Even though I've spent centuries with you, your ability to reach out and contact the spirits, if it is a spirit or whatever it is, astounds me. I heard his voice. I mocked my questioning, but I heard it.
I would rather, given that we know very little about it, I would rather such a presence find us amusing than a threat.
That is wise. feel it is moving us around on a chessboard now, such as other forces. It did give us information of a sort.
Indeed. We know that at least I am not responsible for the creation of Aristides Borgus.
Does that change your intention?
No.
Then you're not responsible for him, if I understand correctly. Or have you come round to the idea that he must be stopped? Is this more of a personal matter? More so than a professional one?
Without meaning to seem flippant, brother, I am sitting here and have been walking around for a number of days wearing a wooden mask that I have painstakingly carved to resemble the face of my dead wife, the self-same woman that was murdered by this creature and its thugs. I think it's fairly safe to say that this matter is indeed personal.
Understood. I have put what things I can in motion to keep the damage to the population here somewhat under control. If you're ready to attend the meeting, we can...
I will say that my lack of personal responsibility does mean that I no longer feel compelled to immediately redress the issue of the Heartless.
Right.
But since you have organised this meeting, I believe we should attend and see what we shall see.
I mean, I still want to destroy him. He destroyed my library. I also seek justice.
Indeed, and
more careful about it.
Unlike your books, what he took from me cannot be replaced.
On this point, I will not argue. This I understand.
But
I was not always an arisen.
Indeed. But we will see what we shall see when we attend the meeting. Come, let us visit the Red Sparrow and see what she has to say.
Okay. So, just out of game, is that implying then what we've discovered that Casmut lied to us, or my misunderstanding?
No. You might have different memories than Cosmos, and you probably do because he had a different time.
Right. So what I implied earlier that our memories are not aligned is showcased here, that he thinks something else happened, or we think something else happened.
No, it's what you remember doesn't contradict what Cosmos said that he remembers. He must be remembering something else as well, or in place of whatever you're remembering, though, because you didn't explicitly see Khufu doing something, but maybe Cosmo did, and you know that he probably did have a different view on everything because he did.
And indeed,
I'm not going to say you did this in Carthage, but
he never.
flashback happened.
Casmut never specifically said we created Aristides Borgus. He said that the Heartless or Lifeless were created by the use of the artifact. Now that may still be the case, even if Aristides Borgus is not one of them. Or, well, not one that we created.
Or maybe you created them at a different point in time.
Yeah, and maybe he's just mixing up his
So
memories.
it's like 5 weeks later. No, it is my responsibility now. It's back on the menu, boys.
Yeah, creative memory mixing, and vengeance is back in the menu.
Let's go to this meeting. If this guy calls you father, I think that's the high drama of this.
Join me. We can rule Rio.
You're my father.
We can rule Rio as immortal and slightly piss poor immortal.
Discount immortal.
That's it. I am the bargain basement immortal.
Okay, so shall we proceed to the evening meetup
Yep.
under the Rose Arch? Okay.
Yep. Obviously, I'll be going in my
Cloak
normal, like,
down.
pimp fate robe, staff, wooden mask, the lot.
I'm gonna go in my Romanesque battle robes.
Yeah, people are going to think you guys are just keep the carnival going.
To be fair, at least they're not going to be able to identify me. I'm wearing a mask.
Yeah. Okay, let me. Where's the pictures? So we have Tetra Gemet, and we have Aristis Borges. Yeah. Okay. So you get there, and there's as advertised, there's a sort of half rose covered arch there, and there's benches and a bit of a cover from the rain as well.
Make sure I've got my little satchel bag of grenades. You never know.
And you'll see Tetra Gemet there, and Aristis Borges as well, dressed in just a suit as if he was a regular person. And
Does he have the
I can't
relic with
criticise his dress sense. I walk everywhere dressed like a wizard.
yeah. Sobek, you were
Does he
saying?
have the relic with him?
No.
Okay. How does Teshra Gemet appear? I know she's probably quite a wily customer, but does she appear annoyed, amused, excited?
I'm looking at her stuff here.
I'm trying to gauge, like, if this is like she knew this was coming, if she is annoyed at the interruption.
But basically, you're asking if she sat in the corner being like, fight, 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 fight.
She's she as is sort of her usual mode. She's seeming like she's setting up for a business meeting.
I'm trying to work out her sort
Angle.
of involvement, anger and involvement with this guy. Like, if I decide to, because I might decide to smote this guy. I'm not against just, ending him right now.
I'll say how it is. Once he's out of the library, you're like, it's on.
Man,
This might be the only chance you get with him out of the library.
It's true. True.
There is a table. It's marble at the top, sort of white and gray, and the stand and the legs underneath are made from wrought iron, covered in some kind of coating, and fancy benches with elaborate filigree cast iron back pieces. And Tetra Gemet notices that you are coming, because of course she does. She senses Sekhem just as you do. And
plus, I presume her employees are like, we've got like Gandalf and a businessman down at the main desk.
That also probably happened.
Do we take the shot?
It's like when you have a clear shot, take it.
We've got Gandalf on the gladiator here.
Did you bring the wizard bullets? She clears her throat, and Aristides Borges puts away a smartphone into his coat pocket, and Tetra Gemet like steps a little bit forward from where she was to sort of receive you, and she says, "Khufu, Sobek, I am pleased that you could make the evening soiree."
I just nod.
Thank you for the invitation.
Have a seat. She goes to the other side of the table. As a sit down, motions for Aristides to have a seat as well.
I'll sit down. Put my staff on the table in front of me. Keep like my handy haversack of explosives down by my leg. just in case it gets real, I need to just like and like hoof it at him under the table.
I'm gonna sit down, like I've got a care in the world.
So she sits down as well and says, "Well, as we all know, I am Teshra Kemet. We have Khufu of the Submenet. We have Sobek of the Sesha Hebsu. We have Aristides Borges of the Ministry of Culture." And you see Borges sort of, it's not full on like he's smug. There's also a sort of, he's halfway between smug and also like, oh, I didn't expect this. So I guess surprised and slight dismay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be regarding him from behind like my impassive wooden mask, but I'm gonna be, as I'm sort of like looking, like staring, like unblinkingly at him, because I presume with the ability to shut out distractions, I can not blink for a very long time.
I suppose the butchery of mortal villages and seduction of their free will would make you an expert in culture. Then, what is your relationship with this individual, Teshra?
I was expecting I was going to be the ruffian when I went in, and like Sobek's just like strolled in and he's like, right, murderer.
So Teshra Gemet smiles at you, Sobek, and opens her mouth to speak when Aristides says, "Before we get into any of this, is there any particular reason why your compatriots here," as he looks to Teshra Gemet, "would be walking around in, well, not broad daylight, but still walking around with this? He is wearing the exact countenance of the Demon Queen. What is this?"
I shall tell you, Abomination, since you are obviously ignorant. Okay.
"I am," says Aristides, "I am quite aware of what each of you are. And I am aware of the danger you pose. So I hope you will not make the mistake of thinking that I do not, and that I disdain posturing."
Well then, allow me to be frank with you, since I admire honesty. I was led to believe that I had been in part responsible for your creation. I now know this to be an error. However,
He smirks a bit at that.
I'm going to hold up a hand and I'm say, you may find this amusing, but know that I correct my mistakes. I now know this to be an error. However, you were responsible many years ago for taking something, as far as I remember, and I may be in error, that is why I've agreed to this meeting, since although I am currently, and do not mistake my calm demeanour for meaning that I am calm inside, I am perfectly capable of yoking my anger when it is necessary. But I am indeed angry. But I am not yet sure whether you are indeed responsible, as I believe, for taking something that was very dear to me. And I'm going to gesture the mask while I'm saying that. That is why I ask you to explain your reference to my countenance. And if you are truly aware of the danger that we currently pose to you, I would advise you answer us honestly.
Am I to understand that you have some connection to this? He sort of points to your mask there.
This is the face of my wife that I wear in her memory.
He glances at all of you in turn. And he says, "You are the ones and he falls into like the puzzle pieces are moving in his brain.
I was going to say, you're just going to have to excuse me as well while I like slap myself around the face because I've just realised what's going on.
In a good way or a bad way, Joe?
It depends. Am I happy about it? OFC, yeah, cool as. In character, jury's still up.
Are you playing some fucking game with me? He gets really angry as he's sort of putting the pieces together, and he says this to Teshrogemet specifically. And she's sort of looking at him. You bring these two here to sit with me? And
You would not have liked the other option we were going to go for.
you can definitely tell, I'm presuming, Khufu, that you have your death sight.
Oh, yeah.
Kicking.
Yeah, meeting with the vampire, best believe that.
He is clearly imbued, let's say, with some potency, and he's getting worked up. There's a stoking of the fire that happens. It's not like we're not talking Sechem. Like you know that these guys don't walk around with Sechem. They're lifeless, so they don't really have that. But he's getting agitated, and it is also reflected in what you can tell of his potency here. And he says, "These two birthed the Demon Queen, the greatest defilement," and he is sort of being just flabbergasted by the piece that he's putting into place now. And he's actually pushing the wrought iron chair back, and he's getting up, not in like super quick movements or anything.
But at this point, I'm going to try my I forget what the name of it is. Is it Chthonic Dominion, the one that lets you command spirits?
It's a command spirit is Chthonic Dominion. Yeah.
So I'm gonna. Are there like mad loads of mortals around?
No, there's some folks around, but it's
more the snipers on
the it's not super crowded. There are mortals around.
In which case, I'm gonna, because I don't know yet whether it's going to affect him or not. So now's the time to find out. So I'm going to activate that in the hope that even if it doesn't work, he'll sense the fact that like he's not the only one like packing the juice.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say, sit down, and see if he does it.
Okay, so spend your pillars, and I'll quickly reference the I believe it was fairly self-explanatory, which is just like you tell them what to do and they do it.
Let me just have a look. I've got the description here. So yeah, give one command to a ghost or revenant. This command can be any length or complexity, but it must be a single concept.
Yeah. Okay. So he rises up and you can tell that he's fairly boiling with intent, and you unleash your utterance, which of course Sobek and Teshugam can immediately tell that that's what's happening. Also, we haven't really focused on this, but I think the shot here would be fantastic in the sort of show version of this, where it's the nice botanical garden. You have the rose arch there with the flowers, and the sort of like scenic milieu behind you as the sun sets into the distance, and then Khufu unleashes the Chthonic Dominion utterance, and because of the way that utterances work, your Sahu drops, so that we see Khufu transform from we can't really see a lot because he has the mask on.
I'm also liking this because I've only really got my hands out, but I'm hoping he'll see that as well.
Yeah.
And see my sort of drawn face a bit behind the mask.
Yeah. So he's Sahu temporarily, as he releases the utterance, just withers into the dried husk of a corpse that he actually is.
I'm basically going to the effect of like, oh, think you're undead, do you?
Yeah, I'm more dead than you.
That's it. I was being dead before you were even born, son.
Yeah, I was already dust when you were born. So this happens, and you can tell that it hits him, and you can tell that he tries to turn the other cheek for a bit, and then he sits down.
That's worth remembering.
Yep. It works on him. He has a capacity to put up a fight, but as we know from your utterance there, it doesn't leave him a lot of room to maneuver, but he has his own shit going. But it definitely works on him, as it does on revenants and spirits. So he sits back down, and he's just sitting there smoldering with fury and staring at all of you in turn, just glancing around.
I'll perk up at this point and be like, your discomfort is not our concern. This meeting was not hosted for your benefit. This was hosted as a courtesy to Teshra here, for she is the power in this city. And before we smote you across this place, we wanted her to understand why. This individual destroyed our cult, Teshra, burned our books, and forced us to, in an attempt to protect our people, to use a ill-fated relic from a rem, which it would seem has created some abomination just like this.
If what you say is correct, Aristides Borges, and I am responsible for this demon queen you speak of, then you would do well to tell me all you know about her, since then my attention would turn from you to her.
He's clenching his teeth together, and you can tell he has fangs, both on the upper jaw and the lower jaw as well. And you notice his fingers have turned into lion claws. So he would be ready to go if he had the occasion to, but he's sort of squeezing his fanged maw together as he sort of murmurs from between his teeth, and he says, "The blood-stained demon queen leads the Sardahites. She is the grand blasphemer of my kind, and it is a struggle not to put an end to the ones that have brought this upon us. Yet I recognize your power.
It was your transgression against us that created this monster.
You are, if you are correct, and that we have created this blasphemy, if you tell me where I can find her, then I will seek to redress this mistake, as I once believed I was going to have to correct a mistake in making you. I now know this to be wrong. If you help me in this regard so that I can correct this mistake, then I will be extremely grateful, and I will also compensate you for your inconvenience here this evening, since it would appear that you are no longer my responsibility, and therefore I have no grievance against you personally.
Teshru Gemet actually perks up at this point. You say that Aristides did these things. She motions to Sobek because you laid out the charges. You brought out the list.
I did.
You're saying that this all happened in Rio?
No.
Did some of this happen in Rio?
No.
It was another time, Teshru.
She
Many years ago.
inclines her head.
But if he has lived such a long life, he has not escaped his crimes. Just like we would with our kind. Death does not escape their responsibility.
Indeed.
Well,
but
out of all of us at the table, I believe you would be the one to judge. She motions at Sobek.
Oh, that's a trap.
it's a trap.
That's a trap.
That's bait.
However, it would appear in this situation, if what Aristides Borges says is true, and I have no reason to doubt his word at this time, then we are far more guilty than he of having caused the issues. In which case, if that is the case, I full and frankly now apologise to you, Mr. Borges, for any inconvenience.
You will receive no apology from me. You does not kill our people. You does not burn our place.
I believe, brother, and I do not mean to wish to seem insulting, I believe you have perhaps missed out on some of the, or overlooked some of what the implications are of this matter. But we can discuss that after the meeting. As I've said, in the presence of Teshru Gemet and my brother Sobek, I issue a full apology to you, Mr. Borges, for any inconvenience and any ill that I may have thought of you in my mistaken recollections. And if you should need call on me, consider that in recompense for inconveniencing you, let us say that I owe you a small favour. Would that be amenable? And all I would ask in return is that you point me in the direction of this demon queen.
Still an undead abomination that feeds upon this humankind.
Borges flashes a look at you as you say this, as if on cue to highlight the actual fact of his nature as a predator. He sort of snaps and looks at you as if you think he's imagining eating you, and with the understanding that you are actually an arisen, and he's still thinking of how he is going to do that. Like, it doesn't seem to bother him over much that you are an arisen.
Do not step out of your bounds, Astridis. You may think that you can strike me down here, but I will return, and I will remember one day.
Please, brother, was it not you who counselled that I should not let the heat of my anger overcome my rationality?
I'm perfectly in control of my emotions.
We we have no great quarrel. It has now been revealed with Mr. Borges here, and as I've said, in recompense for inconveniencing him by having him brought here this evening, I will offer you that you may call on me for one, let us say, a small favour, should you require it. And as I've said, all I ask in return is that you point me in the direction of this demon queen.
I have spent centuries being harrying in turn, fighting, destroying the Sadahites and their stain, and I have done so for a number of centuries here in Rio as well, trying to keep them away from the city to the best of our ability.
Then, Mr. Borges, it strikes me that you should welcome the assistance of two extremely motivated arisen.
I will lessen our efforts to draw in the blasphemers. You wish to strike down your mistake, and he spits it out like it's a glob of poison.
I'll take that. He's right.
I will let them in the gate, and you will deal with them.
You do not.
That is.
You do not need to let them into the city. I merely need you to tell me where they are.
I do not know, but they are many, and they will find their way here as well. They try incessantly. I will lay...
In which case, Mr. Borges, if you know where one of them is, or a small group, point me at them, and I will find out where their queen is from them. If necessary, I will pull the information from their steaming corpses.
We have attempted that. I have no doubt that you feel superior in your authority, such as it is. I'm quite aware of that.
I do not
now
know
myself.
I do not know the full extent of your abilities, Mr. Borges, so I do not classify myself as superior.
I have associates skilled in the art of, well, Irem. He is clearly not from Irem, by the way. He has not spoken one word of Irmite. He does not especially look
could
like...
Could he speak Eremite? That's the question.
Yeah, that's the question. Anyone could be taught Eremite, of course, but he doesn't especially... He has never indicated that he's an Eremite to you in any way. He says, well, I have some associates skilled in the arts of Irem, and it is not for lack of trying that we do not know where the Demon Queen holds her festering lair and court. And he smiles a little bit as something occurs to him, and he leans back a bit and says, do you make your lair in the cemetery of Saints Peter and Christopher?
Yes.
Which is true.
I'm just going to say yes if he knows already. Like, I'm not a deceiver.
I just turn the cover and back again.
To be fair, I'm like, if he wants to try and like bring it to our tomb, then like let him go. That's our place of power. Like, I could smite him far more easily though.
Oh, he just smiles, and says, this discussion of Eremite art has reminded me that we appear to have a mutual acquaintance. No doubt we shall return to that topic at a later time.
A mutual acquaintance? I'll say curious.
Out of character, it's got to be Bashir. Of course it is.
A fellow man of the seas, once upon a time.
I was going to say it's the pirate.
I will draw in some of the Sardahites for you, that you may find the same disappointment that we have. And having done so, I will redeem my favor. And he looks to you, Khufu, for confirmation that this is how we're doing this.
I'll nod.
And that will be for you to never do what you have done, if you are capable of doing it again. That would be a personal favor to me, and I would ask for the favor that you are offering as a part of this, that you cease anything that you have to do with the Karanites, such as myself. We wish to be left alone by those who have birthed the Demon Queen and her wicked spawn.
I understand. How may your Karanites be distinguished from other lifeless?
They are, of course, like unto me and unto my ancestors, back into the shadows of the pillars.
At this point, I'm going to say, if you will consent to allow it, I have my sight can see the spirit and what is dead as well as what lives. If you will consent, I will look upon you with that sight. It will not harm you in any way, and I ask your permission because you have asked me not to affect you with my powers as part of our bargain, to which I agree. But if I am able to gaze upon you in this way, it may allow me to more easily identify those who are alike to you in future, and therefore I will know that I should not be interfering with them.
Your companion here, he motions at Sobek, seems to have a way of perceiving my progeny as well. He gives a smirk to Sobek. This is acceptable. The only thing I ask is that we be left alone. We wish not your stain upon us.
I will agree with one proviso. I would request that I have a means of contacting yourself, so that if I do have business with your kind, I may bring it to you, and it may be resolved amicably without any unfortunate mistakes like the one that nearly occurred this evening. Is that acceptable?
Your companion here has all but rifled through my desk, so I believe such a way exists already. It smiles.
Well, I cannot speak for my brother. I can only tell you that I, and you may ask any who have dealings with me, I follow my word. You may ask the spirits themselves this, and they will tell you this. But
the spirits lie. But I will accept yours.
The spirits do lie, but I do not.
That makes one.
And you have my word that I will, once I have looked upon you and can identify your kind, unless your kind directly interfere with me, I will leave them be. And should I have any business with your kind, I will bring it to yourself for discussion, and no action will be taken until that discussion has been had. Is that satisfactory?
It is not as if I could refuse you. You have made that plain, and there is 3 of you. So I will acquiesce.
You are free. You are free to refuse me if you wish, Mr. Borges. I will not hold it against you. And I have already agreed to not use my powers any further on you. And therefore I will not.
That is all fine and well, but my companion here, he motions to Teshregamet, will no doubt have her own understanding of how things should proceed. And it would look awfully ill upon myself if I were to contradict her fellow countrymen at such an amicable meeting. So I
I was
will.
curious, how far do you and Teshra go back? Exactly.
I arrived in the city in. He references his notes. 1801 was it that we had the
Is that the
flashback?
session with the
Yeah,
turn off?
when Amun Ruby came down and threatened to destroy the city.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's the year that he gives. I think 1801.
Very well, then I will stick to our bargain, especially in light of that you have agreed to draw in some of these Sardaites for me to question. And again, you have my apologies for the inconvenience you have been put through.
It,
It is in my interests to build working relationships with spirits and those who are somewhat alike to spirits, like yourself and your kin. I will seek to do this with yourself. I am sure, given what has occurred this evening, there is no great trust between us, but I hope when you witness me sticking to my side of the bargain, that perhaps a working relationship that is fruitful for both of us can be established.
you once had the power to enact the greatest of blasphemies on this earth. So there will be no reconciliation or forgiveness, though I do appreciate that you offer the words. It is not for me to forgive or forget.
That is
That
fine.
is your lot.
I do not seek forgiveness.
That's the first thing you've said I've agreed with.
That is inconsequential. Now, I wonder if I depart, shall I make it to my home? He glances sort of slowly from Sobek to Kufu to Teshra.
I go on to Teshra.
She remains impassive.
I can tell you that you will face no interference whatsoever from myself as per our agreement.
He waits for a bit, looking at Teshra. When she says nothing, he again pushes the chair away from the table and buttons his jacket up.
I'm going to pass him a piece of paper with the mobile phone number I've got written on it, and I'm going to say, when your people have drawn in these Sardaites, you may contact me using this number. Or
He takes the mobile phone from his coat pocket, takes a picture of it.
Or if you, since all that I have agreed to this evening has simply gone to redress the inconvenience I have put you to, if you wish, you may still call on me for a favour.
He curls his lip and gives a cursory nod to the group as if like, I am
one
leaving
moment.
now. Oh, well, he's walked like 2 steps and he turns halfway back to look at Sobek.
Bear witness that I made no agreement, as did my brother. Or anything between us two is still unresolved. But you are free to go for this time, for it is clear that my brother has matters to attend to that require my help, and I will make sure that I am not I'm not conflicted in those, and I want you to know, since you seem to know of a Rem, I just want to leave you a passing bit of wisdom. And it's in our culture that it has been written ages past that sometimes it's a spiritual sickness or a spectre, or sometimes an individual, but the thing that harries us most is, in Eremite, a representation of our deepest, darkest failures and sins of the soul. If such a creature was created because of your actions as well as my brother's, it would seem that it is a reflection on the kind of person you are, and I want you to think upon that. Your own soul, such as it is left of you. This thing is a reflection of you, not my. That you will face justice either through our hands one day, or through this creature.
I must respectfully disagree with you, brother. If as Aristides Borges has said, and I have no reason to doubt him, I was responsible for the creation of this demon queen and these Sardaites, then the responsibility is solely my own.
I indeed of.
Mr. Borges has acted with decorum and honour whilst being in our presence this evening, and I would treat him likewise.
I understand what you're saying, brother, but I mean in its physical creation. What I mean is what it represents, what it reflects. I think it is his soul.
If you would beg my indulgence for a moment further, and you're under no obligation at all to answer this, Mr. Borges. Did you choose to become as you were, as you are now?
If he says Carthage, I'm flipping the script.
So the question was like,
did he choose to become a heartless, basically?
Not many are offered the choice.
Believe me, I understand.
Even fewer in my time. Before I fell into the Nebtet, which that's Iramite.
Yeah, boy.
So Nebtet is, especially both of you will know this, but you might have some like extra sort of at least poetry around it. Khufu. It is a river in Neterkertet, the Twilight Realm.
Yeah.
Before Duat. It's a river that leads into Duat through the Twilight Realm.
So what you're saying is people who are not good enough to make a Duat don't end up there.
It is also made of blood. So it's a blood river that runs from the Twilight to down into the shadows of Duat, and he's telling you that like he's using this as if it's a metaphor, you don't know, but this is what he's saying. He's saying that back when he fell into the river of blood, not many, even less, were given a choice at that time.
Then I would say, brother, that, and thank you for answering my question, Mr. Borges, then I would say that Mr. Borges is no more responsible for following his nature now than we are responsible for being what we are and following our nature. Therefore, I see no stain on his soul. And believe me, with his permission, I have scrutinized it. Thank you for your time, Mr. Borges. Apologies for detaining you.
Yeah, he closes the last of his buttons on his coat and strides away through the garden.
What a lovely night in Rio.
I guess that's where we're calling it then. Sobek turning back to the table is like, what a lovely night in Rio.
Nice.
Yeah, so we'll cut it there in the Sunset Garden.
Excellent. Thank you very much for running that. That was quality.
Yep. Thank you for playing, and we will, I guess, continue with this shit show next time.
Indeed. Right, I'll end the stream here and then we can talk about XP and chat and whatever.
Yep.
Okay.